Hi everyone, Stepan here. I'm going to continue playing training games. I have 64 points until I reach my goal of 2100 on Lichess Classical, and I only have 2 days left, so today and tomorrow. So it's going to be a lot of games, definitely. Even if I win all of them, it's going to be at least 6 or 7 games. I imagine I'm not going to win all of them, so it might be more. But I'm not going to give up, and I'm going to play as many as necessary. So I'll try to create a game now with 2050 being the lowest rating. I want to play highest rated opponents, as I said. And let's see if I can get a game. If I don't manage to get an opponent quickly, then I'm going to play a normal classical game, just random pairing. Because I don't want to waste too much time, and playing lower rated opponents is very useful as well, as I said. Sorry for not recording theory in the last few days, and that I'm not going to be recording it in the next 11 days, but I have a tournament starting in 12 days and I'm trying to prepare as much as possible. All the games I play, I analyze in detail and over the board. And I'm putting them in a PDF file, which I'm going to send out on Patreon when I have reached my goal. So I'm doing detailed analysis. It's not that I'm just playing and trying to get a high rating. I'm trying to improve in, well, what I think is a situation where in a real game I would be in time trouble over the board. So only having 15 minutes left, it's really tough to play with 15 minutes on the clock in an over-the-board tournament, so this is sort of like starting a game in time trouble. Okay, I don't seem to be able to get the game, so I'll just try a normal random pairing and hope I get somebody rated higher than me. Ugh. Maybe this was a mistake. This guy is 1700, but still. And I've played him already. Amateur 71. I have 1 win against him. Early e3, okay, knight f6. I'm not going to be wasting time. I'm not going to be thinking in the opening when I know the opening. I'm going to be playing sensible chess quickly. Knight h5 is a move here, knight h4, but it's not such a good move. And I don't really have to save my bishop, but I'm going to play h6 anyway, because that should mean that my f5 bishop is better than his c1 bishop. Develop normally. I could have also taken here, but that's not as common now when my bishop is already outside of the pawn chain. Rook c8, normal move, develop sensibly. We are both playing fairly quickly. I guess he still does know what he is doing, just like me. Now the always present debate, bishop e7 or bishop d6 here. Now he wants to play for e4. If e4 is a threat, then bishop d6 is a bad move, but for now his bishop is still on e2, and it's going to take him several moves like rook e1, bishop f1 to play e4. So I think I'm going to play for bishop d6, bishop b8. I don't think my bishop is as necessary on e7. This is more active. If he plays c5, I'm happy. I want to play for e5. That's my pawn break here. Ideally, before I play e5, I want to take on c4 to not have an isolated pawn. b4 is kind of overextending. He should probably play for e4. His bishop on b2 is a fine piece, but only if I play e5. If I don't play e5, then the bishop doesn't make too much sense. So I'm going to castle, which is normal. Bishop b2 is normal, rook e8 would be normal, bishop b8 would be normal. I don't know if I want to play for e5. Okay, time to start thinking. The opening is sort of done. We only have our queens to develop. Now, whose minor pieces are better? I would definitely say that his c3 knight is better than my d7 knight. I would also definitely say that both of my bishops are better than his bishops. So regarding the minor pieces, I would say I'm +1. King safety equal, pawn structure, well, he has more space, but it's arguable whether that space is useful or not. My candidate moves here are rook e8 and bishop b8. Bishop b8 is not a cheap trick. because he's probably going to play Rook c1 after bishop b8, and if he ever takes on d5, I open up the e file, and then Rook e8 makes a lot of sense. And also bishop b8 stops any tricks with knight e5, and okay. So bishop b8, it's sort of a prophylactic move, stopping knight e5, stopping e4, well, not stopping knight e5, but stopping any fork after knight e5, and also making e4 far less useful, and also preparing queen c7, knight e4, which can be very annoying. I don't want to lash out with e5 too soon, even though I could have played it here already. It would have left me with an isolated queen's pawn and opened up his bishop. This is a very weak move. Is he really going to play g5? I don't really believe that. If he plays g5, I'm just going to allow him to open the position up. I mean, I could also take and play queen c7, sacrificing a piece, because then I'm threatening to simply take the knight. Then if he moves the knight, I am down a piece and he can play f4, so I shouldn't really be sacrificing pieces here. So yeah, bishop h7 is a sensible move. If he plays g5, I'm just going to play knight e4. He's playing very, very quickly. Very quickly. Okay, knight e4 to stop g5 makes perfect sense. Okay, well, maybe I should play e5 now. Knight e4, knight takes e4. I always take with the d pawn to chase his knight away. And then I have queen h4, I have queen c7, I have queen f6, I have f5. And I like that. I'm going to play knight e4, that's very aggressive, and if he ever takes, well, I may take with the bishop to pin the knight, but he's playing without even thinking, and that sort of annoys me, because he should be thinking much more. I mean, what's he trying to do? He wants to play h4, g5. I can stop that. What does he do after queen c7? Queen c7, if he does nothing, I'm threatening knight f2, king f2, queen g3, king f1 is the only move. Do I have anything there? King f1, I don't think I have anything. Sorry, let me just turn off the volume on my phone. Okay. He's playing very quickly. I mean, we started with 15 minutes. He has 17 minutes left. He has two bad bishops. I have two amazing bishops. His queen doesn't have any squares. He has advanced his pawns on the king side, which I'm not sure is going to lead to any sort of attack. I could consider e5 and f5. I could consider knight f6. So maybe I should improve my pieces first, but if I play knight f6, he has knight e5. But I'm looking at knight c3, bishop c3, knight f6, knight e5, knight e4, the bishop moves. I want to keep my knight on d7. f5, gf5, rook f5, f5, g5, pawn takes, f5, knight takes knight, f takes knight, f5, knight e5, I win a pawn, f5, he doesn't do anything, I play f4. I think f5 is a good move. I mean, f5 is the only move that tries to punish him for overextending. All of my pieces are better and I have great bishops, so in theory opening up the position should be fine. The question is it tactically sound? And should I be opening the position up with his pawns advanced towards my king? f5. If he plays g5, I take it with the knight. f5. If he takes, I take with the rook. f5. If he doesn't do anything, I play f4. And my goal is to remove this pawn. So if I take on e3 and he takes, queen c7 is a very strong move. So I think f5 makes perfect sense. I need to start punishing him for... I don't want to take on g4, open up the h file. That's not the plan. Okay, he took. Now I'm going to take with the f pawn, and his bishop is now a very bad piece. And well, don't I just win a pawn now? With queen f6. Queen f6, sacrificing my knight. Queen f6, knight d7, queen takes f2. Is checkmate. Yeah, I just win a pawn. Queen f6, knight d7, queen f2, checkmate. Queen f6, he can't retreat the knight. He can play f4, but I'm going to play e takes f3, knight takes f3. And I've opened up my bishop, and I can play bishop e4. So queen f6, if he takes my knight, it's checkmate. Queen f6, if he plays f4, I take it. Queen f6, if he plays f3, I take his knight. Okay, queen f6 makes a lot of sense, sacrificing my knight. I mean, not really sacrificing my knight, because it's checkmate. Okay, and let's just get rid of this one and win a pawn. Now I should just be winning. I mean, my pawn structure is perfect. My king is perfectly safe. I'm a pawn up, and thank you for repairing my structure. He is still playing very quickly, which, I mean, he should start thinking. a6, just to stop any tricks with b4. And I mean, my plan is to play d4 at the correct moment, take, and play e3. I have to be careful about rook c5. I truly am struggling to understand his moves. Does he want to play f4? I'm going to take en passant. I think I want to double my rooks on the f-file. He probably wants to trade queens, which I'm not going to allow. So just rook c7 should be fine. Playing for rook f7. There are no tricks. Bishop a6 doesn't work, nothing works. So yeah, when you are better, don't trade queens. So where do I put my queen? Yeah, I definitely don't want to trade queens, even though I'm pawn up. Ben Feingold rule, never trade. Because his king is much weaker, so trading queens would actually help him. Now I just need to decide whether e6, e8 or g5 is the correct square. I think e6 is the best square because it's the most active. Although it does allow g5, hg5 and bishop g4. So maybe queen e8. Maybe queen g5. Because if queen g5, h4, queen g6, he doesn't have h5 because of queen g5. And queen g5 seems to be the most active move. I also have some tricks on e6, on e3, I'm sorry, which could be useful in the future. But on the other hand, I might have to stick to the defense of b7. Yeah, I don't think I want to give him this h4 tempo for nothing. So I think queen e6 is going to be my move. I can't really decide, and I think that I want to keep my queen on this diagonal so that I can come back to c8 if he attacks me. Okay, now yeah, g5 would have been a better square had I known that he was going to play rook f1, rook hf1, but I can get on the diagonal now. I can just go queen e7 and queen h4. I need to sort out my bishop, and queen g5 would also be... okay, I'm struggling to understand his moves. I don't have to play quickly if he's playing quickly. That's a mistake I often do in tournament chess. That if my opponent is in time trouble, I'm going to start blitzing out my moves, which is ridiculous. How do I increase the pressure? I need to improve my bishop. In order to improve my bishop, I need to get rid of his g4 pawn. I can get rid of his g4 pawn by playing queen e7, queen g5, h5. I can also get rid of my bishop by playing king h8, bishop g8, rook f6, and bishop f7. Okay, to start that, I'm going to play queen e7, threatening to get onto this diagonal and also threatening to just play this and get my bishop here. I need to get my I need to get my bishop out. That's my last piece that's not doing anything. For the moment, he's not threatening any pawn advances or any stuff like that. And apparently he's still not doing much. So queen g5 or king h8. Queen g5 makes a lot of sense, going for h4, for h5. But I do want to get my bishop out, and I don't have to play king h8. I don't want to stay on the same diagonal as his queen. I can play bishop g6. Bishop g6, rook f6, bishop f7, rook bishop e6. That's a nice plan, I think. I could also consider sacrificing an exchange on f3. But only after I got my bishop out. I don't want to do that before that. So bishop g6, trying to remaneuver my bishop here. Or maybe even here. But I probably want to keep defending b7. He's just doing nothing, and that's, I don't know if that's good or bad, but he's just doing nothing. Okay, now he's going to attack my pawn structure, which I understand. Now I am going to play bishop e8 to make sure I'm defending this diagonal. And the c6 pawn. I probably could have played queen f7 here already, but I wanted to get my bishop to a more active diagonal, because queen f7 is going to provoke f4, and that's, well, f4, e takes f3, rook takes f3, rook takes, bishop takes. Yeah, it was just winning. I should have just played queen f7. I'm going to play it now, because there's no way for him to defend, to put extra defense on the f2 pawn. He has to play either f3 or f4, and then he still loses. But I think it was important to get my bishop out first, to make sure I have another active piece and that my c6 pawn is protected. Because even though I'm breaking through, it's not really clear that I'm winning outright. My bishop on h7 was taking up Luft from my king, and it was also a completely dead piece. So now, even if things don't work out, I have a good piece to play with. And now the best move for white, I don't know. I think this game went well. I mean, I followed the plan and it worked. I got to play a much lower rated opponent, but what can you do? Okay, what now? Well, I should just use my active bishop here. If I take his bishop, he takes my queen. If I move my queen, he takes my rook. How do I get on a useful diagonal with my queen? Maybe I should just trade everything off now. Rook takes rook, rook takes rook, queen e7, threatening to exchange and just be much better. So I'm going to do that. I don't want to complicate matters anymore. I don't see a way to infiltrate with my queen, and I shouldn't be complicating things too much. It seems that this is just winning, and now what do I take with? Probably probably with the king, actually, because I don't want to allow queen e5. And I want to keep defending this pawn, so yeah, king takes. Okay, my position is very well defended, so I don't really mind that. So pawn takes. Now, what do I do here? How do I improve? Maybe queen f6 now. Queen f6, queen b6, queen a1 check, king f2, queen back to f6, king g2, queen a2. Queen h4, how does he defend? King g2 is the defense. Then queen e1, has to move the bishop. It's not that easy. I'm 2 pawns up, but the queens are still on the board, so... So maybe queen d6, threatening queen g3. And then if he does nothing, I'm going to play queen g3, and if he defends that, then just c5. He did nothing, and now queen g3 should be good for me. Well, queen g3, check, king h1 or king f1, both are met with queen takes h3 and then king e1, and I have time to return. Okay, so that's fine. I have time to get back on the dark squares. Okay, and we are back on the dark squares, defending. Of course, pawn takes is a blunder, so bishop takes. Yeah, now this is 3 pawns up and resignable. Okay, let's try to challenge him somehow. Okay, queen f8 should be a start. Queen check, king h8, nothing there. And I wanted to get on the dark squares to have a check on b4 for whatever reason. It's still not easy. It's still not easy to queen my pawns because the queens are on the board and my light squares are very weak. Okay. Queen b4 check, king d1 gets met with bishop a4 check, which should lead to checkmate. King c2, also bishop a4, king c1, queen c3 check. And is it too scary to get my queen away from my king? Well, I'm not sure, to be honest. I don't think he has that much. because he's not yet threatening to checkmate me. If he does play g6, then he is threatening to checkmate me, but I think I always have time to get back. I think it's important to not allow his king to escape. So queen b4 check. He has 3 possible moves: king d1, king c2, and king c1. If king d1 or king c2, I'm going to play bishop a4. If king c1, then I'm going to play queen c3 check, and he has to play king b1. And then after king b1, what do I do? Because if I take the g5 pawn, he has a perpetual. Well, not really, but if I move my queen and take, then he has a perpetual. So what's worrying me is queen b4 check, king c1, queen c3 check, king b1. What do I do there? How do I get my bishop into play? Okay, let's try it. He might make a mistake. Well, queen b4, king c1, queen c3. I can take. Okay, I'm going to try it. I don't see his attack being so strong. Oh, he goes to light square. That's wonderful. Wait, don't rush, don't rush. Okay. Yeah, he should have gone to c1. That was the only square to save his position. Yeah, bishop here is correct, otherwise he can run away. So now just here. Yeah, king c1 is interesting. I'm going to have a look at that. Plus 4 points. Okay, well, it's a start. Okay, let's just look at this. If he not king c1 here, he had to play king c1 immediately. So let's just see, because I don't think I have that much. Okay, king c1 is the best move, and that's the only move that's not mate in 8. And I check here. King b1 was my analysis. Oh, I have queen e1 check. Yeah, okay, I didn't see that. Okay. Okay, good. But all in all, I don't think I have to look at this game now with an engine. I think it was a good game, and I'm just going to play another one. Hope for a high-rated opponent now. Let's go high-rated. Create a game, and let's see. So 60 more points to go. A long way to go, but as I said, I'm going to play the whole day today and tomorrow to achieve that. Okay, 2100. That's good. Let's hope he wants a game. Yes. Okay, we have a game. Now let's concentrate. I have the white pieces, high-rated opponent. Let's play the Italian. Let's hope no nonsense like knight a5, which I faced 2 days ago. No, why do you play that? Why do people play that? No, I hate that. It's just very passive. Okay, the most principled way to punish that is to play d4. Aha, okay, so if I take on c6, he takes on f7. Does he take on f7? I don't know. No, he doesn't take on f7. Oh yeah, he does take on f7. Oh no, he doesn't take on f7. Wait. So knight c6, bishop f2, king f2, queen f6, queen f3 is the problem for him. And then if queen takes c6, I have queen f7 checkmate. So I think I can just take on c6 and double his pawns. But then again, what does he do against queen f3? He probably plays queen f6 there. And I take on c6, he takes, I have to play knight c3. Knight c6, queen f6, queen f3. If queen takes queen, then I have doubled f pawns. If I play queen f3 now and he has to play queen f6 or queen e7, if he plays queen e7, I take on c6. If he plays queen f6, I take it, knight takes c6, d takes c6, knight c3. It's messy. I shouldn't be wasting so much time here. So doubled f pawns for doubled c pawns should be fine for me because my e4 pawn is defended there and my light squared bishop is outside of my pawn chain. The problem is that the diagonal to g1 is weak, so I don't want to play a move like c3, that's just way too passive. I might want to play a move like bishop e3, which is normal, and just saves everything, but then queen f6, takes on c6, bishop takes bishop, pawn takes knight, I get doubled e-pawns. Okay, he's going to play queen f6 after I take, but I don't want to open up his bishop. So bishop e3, queen f6, taking up a square from his knight, and then I have the move c3, which is okay. Okay, bishop e3, queen f6, c3, defending everything. That makes sense. Then he has to play d6. So I'm going to play that. A normal, sensible move. I'm expecting queen f6, and I'm going to play c3. I want to reinforce my center and not allow him to play this move with tempo, basically. I don't want to allow him to open up his light squared bishop with my help. So I don't think any trades on c6 were good for me. Now, if his queen stays on d8, then yeah, of course, I would take on c6. So now he had to exchange. And this I'm happy to see up in development, obviously. So my queen and my bishop are developed and his are not. So white is definitely better here. And he's offering a trade which, if I accept, then we are equal in development. So I should probably play something like c3. But then I take up a square from my knight. c3, what does he do? d6. c3, d6, castles, bishop somewhere. Then he's threatening queen g6. And if I play c3, I can never castle queenside. So can I just decline the trade? Or do I just take the queen and have a perfectly equal position? Yeah, I don't want to play c3, so I'm going to take and allow him equal development now. Let's see which side he castles. This position is going to be equal unless I decide to complicate it. I'm not sure if I have any chances of a king side attack if I castle queen side, or maybe I do. Maybe I even want to keep my king in the center, something like king f2, but I'm not sure. Knight d5 is an interesting move, but he's just going to take. I want to keep my bishop on the diagonal. So yeah, just castles king side. This is a weakness though. I have a weakness on f4, which I don't like. So knight h5, knight f4 is a concern. On the other hand, if he plays knight h5, then I can play knight d5. So maybe, yeah, I'm going to castle queenside because I want to be able to meet knight h5 with g3. He should probably play bishop e6 if he wants perfect equality. Yeah. And now I have nothing better but to take, unfortunately. Now let's see, what do I do? Okay, dead equal. Ugh, disgustingly equal. Okay, double up my rooks on the d file cannot be a mistake. If knight h5, probably knight e2, just defending the square. Because his knight is not brilliant on h5, knight e2 should be good enough. g3 is a mistake because f3 is hanging. And I don't really want to play that. So he's stopping knight b5, which is okay. Rook d1. If knight h5, knight e2, and then both of our knights are bad. But now, if he ever plays a rook to the d file, I have the move e5, if his knight is on f6, because it's a double attack. So rook d8 would be a horrible mistake, losing a pawn, because he has to move his knight or take. He cannot take because his rook is hanging, and if he moves his knight, then I take here. And even if he can play knight e8 and defend, then he's still much weaker, because I have knight e4. This man is dying to have a draw. What the hell? Okay, I mean, I probably have to do this because his knight, after coming to h5, is going to be better than mine if he has a protected outpost here. And now, draw. I'm not going to play cowardly like yesterday. I'm not going to be offering draws. In the end game, get your king closer. I'm going to get my king here and put pressure on his stuff. Okay, I don't want to allow that, obviously. Oh, did I just allow h5? No, well, he can win my... I'm sorry, a5. He can win my b pawn, but my king is going to get dangerously close to his position. Maybe after a5, I don't want to take. I'm not sure. This was a rash decision, king b4. Okay, he doesn't play that, so... Excellent. So now getting my king in here is probably good, locking down one of his rooks. Although maybe just b3 prophylactically. b3 so that if he plays a5, I can take on b5. And yeah, he wants to play rook d8 and c6. I don't have a way to stop that. But the question is my king good on a5 or not? I'm getting it really far away from the action. But then again, it's locking down one of his rooks, so... So his next move is going to be rook d8 and then c6. And there's no way for me to stop that. Then his other plan is h5, g4, in which case I'm probably going to have to play rook h1 to challenge his rooks. I'm struggling to find the plan here. I think I'll just move my rook in anticipation of rook d8 and c6. So that I can play, if rook d8, I can play king a5, and if c6, I can... Okay, fine. So now he wants to play a5 and b4. So c3, a5, king b3, b4 is stopped, and everything is fine. So I'm going to play c3, just to give my king some luft. I don't want to play king a5, because he can then still play b4 and rook here checkmate. So if he plays b4, then sure, he can do that, opening up the b file. I'm just going to play king c2 and take with my king. That leaves him with a very weak c7 pawn, which I can now target. Well, now I have a chance to play a3 to stop his idea. If he ever plays c5, then my rook gets the d5 square again. Okay, now he is permanently weak, and just rook d5, locking down his stuff should be okay. Well, maybe it's unnecessary. Maybe it is unnecessary. Is he really going to play b4, giving up a pawn? How do I defend that? Well, maybe rook a1, so that if he plays b4, I'm stopping his idea. Rook a1 seems like a very nice move, and then I can try to play for a4 myself. So rook a1 stops everything he's trying to do. I kind of like that. a4 or c4, just play king c2. I didn't like rook d5 because the only threat with rook d5 was if he plays rook d8 I can take on c5, and that's really not going to happen. Okay, now, yeah, this I'm very happy to see. Okay. Takes, pawn takes, takes, rook takes, rook d3, rook b1. I don't have to take twice, that's the thing. I'm going to take once and try to provoke him into taking on c3. So if he plays b3, then he basically has nothing. If he takes on c3, I'm going to take with my king and should be slightly better. I don't think I want to open up the b file. So rook d3 makes sense. Rook d3 so that I can take with the rook. And rook d3 also so that I can take on b4 and then play rook d to a3. Okay, rook d3. That has to be a good move. I'm not afraid of b3, as I said. I'm just going to play king d2. Rook d3 is also because of that, so that I don't have to get my king to the back rank. Now the thing I have to calculate is b3 check, king d2, does a3 work? Rook takes, pawn takes, rook takes, pawn takes, then he has b2, and that's really dangerous. So I may have to play king b1 if b3 check, because I have to stop the pawn and not allow b2 with check. That's a very common sacrifice where he can give up a pawn to make his b pawn a passed pawn. So b3, if king d2, he can play a3, and if I take... Okay, he doesn't do that, that's fine. So moving in anticipation of that should be okay. Just king d2. Yeah, just king d2, getting away from the check and from all the nasty stuff. Still, if he takes on c3, I take with the rook. And he should end up with a weakness on a4 at the end of this parade. I'm not sure if I'm threatening to win a pawn now, but I may just be by taking on b4. Okay, plays b3 now, and now his threat definitely is a3, but not with his rook on c6. So a3 takes, rook takes, pawn takes, b2, king c2. No, he's not threatening that just yet. But as I said, he has a weakness now, which is not easy to defend. His a4 pawn is very weak. So rook a3 should lock down the structure, and then my king can start moving towards the king side. I want my king to go here, but I have to lock this down with rook a3 before I can start moving my king. And I also want to play rook d5. So okay, I'll just start with rook a3. Even though he's not threatening that, I need to free up my king. For the moment, my rook is defending c3, so there are no tricks of rook takes c3, pawn takes c3, and him queening. So I need to keep my rooks here. But he needs to keep his rooks here to make sure these threats are viable. So all the rooks are locked down for the moment, and my king is going to start marching now. He can play d5, I don't care, my king is close to the center, I have e3. And then he's going to lose this pawn also. So he's trying to stop rook d5, which is not my threat. I want to get my king into h5 and take the h6 pawn. Okay, so he stops that. Okay, just king e3, getting my king close to the center. He cannot really play g4 because he loses a pawn, and I think I'm in time to defend everything with my king. Now g4 could be a threat. Because he's attacking my e4 pawn. If I play g4, I'm always going to have a weakness on f3. But, if I play g3, and he plays g4, I can take, and play f4. If I play g3 and he does nothing, I can play f4, takes, g takes, pawn takes, king takes. And he can then play d5. So is g3 a too committal move? It probably is, but... Okay, I'm going to play g3 because I like g3. He should probably play h4, but that seems very risky. If he plays h4, then I'm going to play g4, and my king is going to be defending everything, and then it's a draw. But if he doesn't play h4... Oh, whoa. This is an extremely committal move. A very committal move. I mean, I have to take it. There's no doubt about that. The question is just, do I take the rook or not? Because if I don't take the rook, then I gain a tempo by attacking his rook. So I don't want to take that, really. And he's still threatening h4, but then I'm going to play g4. So if I take, and he takes with the king, and I play king d3, his king has to keep guarding the rook. but then he can play the move e4 check. And if e4 is with check, that's very dangerous. Okay, so maybe I should play Rook a1. Rook a1 to get my rook back into the game. And if he takes, I take with the king. He needs to waste the tempo defending his rook or moving his rook. So I'm going to do that. Just getting my rook back into play. I'm not afraid of g4 or h4. Okay, now he needs to waste the tempo. Yeah, and now I need to stop. Now I need to stop e4 check, but a3 is a problem. No, it's not a problem. It's not really a problem. So rook e1, a3, I can just take. And he doesn't have time for this. Okay. He's definitely better though. He's better. But it's not easy for him to make progress, because if I manage to play rook e4 and he takes and I take, he moves the king, then a3 is still not a threat, because my king is in time. Whenever b2 happens, my king is catching the pawn on b1. And if he doesn't take my rook, he loses the a4 pawn. So I don't know. I think he needs to try something like g4 or h4. And now I change my mind. I think white is fine if g4 or h4 don't work, because my king is catching the b1 pawn. And I just have to shut down the WhatsApp groups which are sending me 1,000 messages. Wait, just turn off. Okay. Okay, yeah, that's a very good idea. So now if I play g4, he has rook f4. But then I play king e3. If I take, he takes with the rook. If I ignore it, he takes. So I think I have to play g4. g4, rook f4, king e3. a3 still doesn't work. Maybe it does work now. Yeah, I have to play g4. There are no other moves. If I take, I lose. If I allow him to take, I lose. So now, if he doesn't play rook f4, then I'm winning, but he did play rook f4. Now, king e3 has to be the only move. I don't think e4 works now, because I have check and then rook d4. a3 also shouldn't work. I'm worried about king c4, because then if a3, b takes a3, king takes c3 is very, very strong. But if king c4, I'm just going to play rook a1 to stop his idea, and then he has to move the king. Okay. I didn't expect that. Well, you know, I definitely can't trade rooks, so I have to check. Okay, I have to check. And then rook d4 doesn't work. What was I thinking? Because he takes with the rook on f3. Yeah, okay, I have to take with the pawn. I don't know what I'm thinking about. I don't think I have another move. Okay, now I need to stop his rook from infiltrating. He has a draw if he wants it. There's not much I can do about it. I need to keep my king guarding the back rank because of his a3 pawn break. Yeah. And I cannot trade rooks because then I lose. a3 loses. But how does he make progress? That's the question. a3 immediately doesn't work. And of course, if he allows me to activate my rook with something like rook f1, rook f5 check, then I'm winning. But for the moment, his king doesn't have any squares on the d file, nor does it have king f5. So unless he repeats moves, I'm not sure what he does. If he plays rook c4, yeah, now he's threatening a3. But now I just play rook a1 to stop a3. Can he take on c3 with the rook? No, no, he can't. Rook c3, pawn c3. Okay, yeah, he can't. Okay. Maybe he could have taken on c3, I'm not sure. This is a tough position for me. If king d3, rook here or rook here, I still have king e3. And I'm defending everything, so I'm going to play that. I don't want to allow rook takes c3. I think it may have been winning on the last move, so rook c3, bc3, b2, rook b1, a3. Okay, let's not allow him to enter. If I allow him to enter my position, then I lose, of course. So, what do I do here? If I play rook d1, can he play a3? I guess not. What am I threatening with rook d1? I guess nothing. But what else do I do? I have no moves. I do really want to get my rook active, but I don't see how. At least rook d1 stops rook d1 stops him from advancing further, but it allows king c4. I really don't have a move. I don't think rook d1 works because of king c4. So I'm just going to play rook a3 because I don't see any way to make progress here. I mean, I don't see a good move. I don't see anything. Yeah, now I still do nothing, just rook a1. Still stopping king c4, and I don't see how he progresses unless he can play a3. I need to create a fortress with my king and rook. He has that very dangerous pawn break, which I've allowed with b3. Which you shouldn't have allowed. And now the whole game revolves around this a3 pawn break. Okay, now threatening rook takes c3, so I have to stop that with king d3. Yeah, now I have to stop his rook from infiltrating with king e3. I can't win this, unfortunately, but okay, rook a3 to stop king c4. I'll just repeat moves. I don't have anything here. I really don't see any way to make progress. If he plays rook f1, I can take on a4, so that's not a mistake. And it's a threefold repetition. I'm just going to claim a draw and say good game. It was, yeah. I don't know, let's analyze. I checked with engine. I'm reading the chat and the analysis. This part, yeah, rook c3 was winning probably. Somebody says rook c3 was winning on move 45. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, and I imagine it was winning. Wait. Rook takes c3. Pawn takes c3. b2. It wasn't winning? Oh yeah, I have this check. Well, that's nice. Okay, so it wasn't winning. Well, let's look at the whole game. It was very interesting. I'm wondering what to do about this bishop c5 thing. And bishop takes f7. Ah, stupid me, stupid me. Well, has this been played before? No game found. Okay, bishop takes f7. King takes f7. I win the bishop. I just win the bishop. Sorry, sorry. Okay, so in the chat, I'm sorry, I'm reading the chat and I'm overwhelmed by your analysis. So they said that black was winning, so not here, of course. Let's just browse through these moves. I was still much better here, not after taking the queen. So yeah, with e5, Jesus. Yeah, I played a bad opening, and this is equal. And I would imagine I was worse in the ending, but not much worse. Slightly better, slightly worse. Yeah, I should have taken. Not taking is a big mistake. Allowing this b3 idea. The engines say it's equal, but... And I have a fortress, which is not hard for him to break through, but let's see. Ooh, a3 immediately. a3 now does work. Because of king c4. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So it was a tough game and they should have lost it. I think this may be the most instructive rook and pawn ending I've ever played in a game online. Because usually I don't get such interesting positions online, and this was really complex and interesting. My opponent had a win there with a3 on move 40, and because he has king c4, I vacated the d3 square. Yeah, very interesting game. I hope you like this ending. I hope you're going to study it. I'm going to spend a lot of time analyzing this and try to learn from my mistakes. I think there's a lot to learn in this rook and pawn. Okay, thanks very much for watching. Let me just see how I did. Profile. So I earned 6 points, 58 to go. I'm going to play another 2 games a bit later on in the day. And yeah, 1 win, 1 draw for now, 6 points up. That's not that bad. So see you later on. Bye. Stay tuned for more chess.